Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's in today's video an exciting day because we're going to take a close look at the ROG Ally from Asus. I must say that I'm looking forward to this product simply because there is finally an official company here going to releasing a Windows based x86 device. And I just wanted to do this unboxing with you. It comes with a custom AMD Zen chip, and that is something that is also very interesting, where a lot of these devices use their own, let's say, basic chip that we find in different devices like mini PCs. So what are we actually going to get? That is also something we're going to talk about. So first of all, the packaging is very basic, nothing very fancy. Another thing I'm very curious, what are we going to get with the comfortability? First of all, 7-inch FHD display, comes with the AMD Z1 Extreme chip, and of course 512 gigabytes of only like storage. A little bit of bummer, I wish they went for one up to 2 terabytes. Nevertheless, let's do a quick unboxing together and let's see what we're going to get in the inside. Alright, so when it comes to the ROG, I already mentioned this is an official release product. In the previous videos we talked about different companies. In here, it's kind of interesting, we do have this cardboard docking, or let's say stand, kind of interesting. They're doing a great job when it comes explaining how you need to connect, charge it. That's something we're going to do, fully charge it before we're going to boot it up. Oh yeah, we're going to get plastic protection, so let's remove that first. Let's see where we need to get this beginning. But what are we actually going to get inside the package itself? With some A&E products we're going to get even a 100 watt supercharger. And what I understand of, this is just a basic kit with a 65 watt charger. So beside the handheld and the charger, we're not going to get a lot. The cable is quite long, so I'm very pleased with that. I need to remove the plastic, but let's take a close look at the specs, because this is just a typical 65 watt charger. So far I can see we cannot remove the plug itself, so this is only for one region. 65 watt is enough, give you a couple of hours for basically charging the device up, but I wish they had like a more deluxe supercharger. Not that we're going to need it for now, because you're going to charge it. Nevertheless, what are we going to get in the other package? Let's take a close look at that. There is no docking whatsoever. With this product we do get ourselves a very thick manual explaining what and how. Yeah, okay. Okay. Nothing for much information, just a quick overview of the product itself. But let's remove the plastic itself, and oh man, how are we going to remove this? It's always like the question, where do I start? There we go. I completely ripped it apart, so there's no way of bringing that in original condition anymore. Sometimes I just love to keep the plastics, you know. Not I'm going to use it, but there's some like weird thing I'm doing. Nevertheless, let's take a close look at the device itself, because I was really curious how is the comfortability, because this thing weighs quite light compared with the other device I've reviewed. And the first impression when holding it, feels not bad at all. Nice D-pad, quite a strange D-pad, but nice. Big buttons. Yeah, I'm gonna say even some extra shortcut buttons at the back, so it's pretty damn cool if you want to play shooter games. It's not bad at all. But okay, so what are we actually going to get? Let's power it on. There is no juice in it. I already mentioned I wanted to charge it, but just want to see if there's any juice inside the machine, but nope. So we're going to first charge it. Okay, let's do a quick peek in the inside of this stand that we're getting. It's kind of cool, but this is just cardboard. Yeah, this is kind of cheap, to be honest. I wish they'd give you a normal docking station, at least for this thing. The next thing that we need to do is set it up, and yeah, you need to get yourself a mouse and keyboard to make this process way easier. It comes pre-installed with Windows 11, and as what I understand of, also some Steam, and you're going to get 3 months of Xbox Game Pass. Beautiful RGB lighting, it looks absolutely great. But again, yeah, let's set it all up, because this is a lot of mumbo jumbo. Downloading all of your games, it's just your typical stuff that you're going to get with installing your new mini PC or Windows handheld. But okay, so let's talk about the ROG Ally. I've been waiting for this and I'm very excited. But I can tell you, when it comes to the comfortability, when it has just as a shell, yeah, at first I didn't know what to think of it. But after playing for a couple of hours, I realized this is not my favorite handheld at the moment. When holding the device itself, it's not a saying this is going to be absolutely horrible, which it's like hurting my hands for after like saying a couple of hours play sessions. No, not that at all. It's just the form factor, the way how slim this thing is and how the form factor in general is. What I did like are the buttons at the back. One of the surprising elements they implemented in the handheld itself. The reason why, if you are using quick buttons a lot, these things can be very handy that you can map with the software itself. When actually holding it in your hand, the handheld just in a comfortable way, you can just reach them fairly easy. So they did an amazing job with making this, but I think because this thing is so slimmed down, yeah, I think it's not like the most comfortable handheld. I still need to figure out if this is going to be like worst or it's going to be the best. For example, when you're looking at the Steam Deck, this thing looks so weird and so huge, but when just holding it, you know, when you're holding it and you just feel it, instantly you know this thing is comfortable. For the people who play a lot of handhelds, you know what I mean. And the same goes actually when it comes to the Neo that I've reviewed here. This device also has just a very interesting but also very comfortable just grip, and that is something I slightly miss out when it comes to the Asus ROG Ally. Yeah, and that is a little bit of a bummer. Not like a super bad thing, especially when I'm holding it like this and these parts are leaning into my hands. My hands started to get a little bit, let's say, hurting, and that is thing I still need to figure out, or it's just my grip I need to hold it. I need to hold it like this, but that's the thing I'm noticing when I'm putting it in my hand like that. So yeah, that was a thing that I was quite disappointed with, but there are a lot of positive sides. So let's talk about all the other parts of the handheld that I was surprised by, or I just really like it, because not everything is going to be like bad at all. Briefly, when I accidentally powered on, you can see it comes with a beautiful RGB light, and these things can get very bright. You can adjust it in the software of Asus itself. So at the right side we're going to get the same joystick, of course, like the left side. And what I've noticed when you're looking at the joystick, it got on a very nice travel, but when you're looking at the resistance, it's not that great, to be honest. Not a bad thing, but I needed to get used to it. Another thing I really liked about this device, that we're going to get a very nice A, B, and XY buttons. And I mean, particularly when you're looking at the round shape, they are very comfortable. Where different companies choose, for example, these tiny buttons with a very long travel click, the ABXY button from the ROG, I really love them. To be honest, I really like them. I think it's even one of my favorite buttons that I found on a device of this, let's say, price range or Windows x86 model. I really like it. Yeah, I'm super happy. Can you not hear it? Mamma mia! Oh man, fingerprint nightmare when it comes to the ROG Ally, I can tell you that. So I was in cleaning cloth by hand, so cleaning it up. But what I wanted to do is talking about the screen itself. When I made a decision, and it's quite interesting, that with the display it looks absolutely beautiful, bright. And when you're looking at it, we do have like a tiny bezel around it. I don't find it really annoying, but it's a very interesting choice. One of the key features I really like of the ROG that makes me like excited to play on it every single time are the front-facing speaker. They go quite loud, they're crisp, clear, and I really like them. They sound amazing when I'm playing some Street of Rage or some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh boy, I can just enjoy myself the soundtracks, and that is something I didn't see before with all the other models I've reviewed. On top we're going to get ourselves the headphone jack out, an option to add a micro SD card. It's a great way to basically add extra storage, but let's be honest, as making this video, 512GB are affordable, but the 1TB is getting quite expensive. Then we're having the two special ports. And what do I mean with special ports? The right one is just your typical Type-C. You have the option to get a docking or get an upgrade with an external GPU. I don't own one. I wish I had one so I can check it out, but I think it's a pretty damn cool thing. They can upgrade it like a desktop PC. And then of course we're having the volume control and the on and off switch and the two LEDs for indication for charging. But let's talk about the shoulder button and the trigger button. Both of them are quite comfortable because they do have this very nice pattern, give you some extra grip. For the shoulder button they went for a micro switch, and here we do have the shoulder button. There is only one difference I wanted to show you when you're comparing this with an AGN. Where AGN make the option for a very nice shoulder button and trigger button. The trigger button, personally, I really like it over the other one from the Asus ROG. And the reason why, because this thing has a very nice curve, and when you're laying your finger in it, it's so much more comfortable. But when it comes to the AGN, we do have a normal long travel shoulder button. And again, like, it's not a bad thing, but one of the things that I've noticed when you're going to actually play with it, I wish they like improved it like with the AGN, that is more comfortable in my opinion. But let's power this bad boy on and we're going to set it all up. It comes with special software that you also need to update, especially when you're just getting the device, simply because they have been improving a lot when it comes to the overall software and the compatibility. So the thing is, and that's a little bit of a bummer, when you're going to get it early, oh boy, there was a lot of mumbo jumbo going on. But the thing is, the biggest bummer I also had with this device, that we're only having one Type-C port. With AGN, even like the cheaper models, we're having 2 of them, or even 3 sometimes, and we're only having 1 of them. So before you're going to set it up, there are a couple of things that you're going to need. But before you're going to set it all up, I recommend getting a keyboard and mouse to make your life so much easier. Another thing you need to get is a tool. This is one of them, like in Type-C, all the way up to different ports. For example, having here 2 USB 3.0. I know there are bigger ones with even more ports, and this even has the option to get yourself an HDMI out. So that's going to be setting it all up so much easier. The next thing you can do, get yourself an external storage. I have Samsung over here, but you have different ones. This isn't 2 terabyte, you have a 1 terabyte. They are way cheaper than, let's say, an option like an SD card. But if you don't want to mess around with an external power source or an external like hard drive, you can always get yourself an extra SD card. Get yourself a fast one, 512 gigabyte. Making this video, they are affordable, but in the future maybe the 1 terabyte also is going to be affordable. In combination with an SD card, you're going to have over the 1 terabyte storage capacity. But with AAA games, this will vanish instantly. The Asus ROG LE comes with some pre-installed software, including Steam. That was quite convenient, by the way. But what I did like, that they implemented a piece of software, which you're going to see over here when pressing the button. Here we can adjust the volume, but also the brightness. We have all kinds of different modes. We can enable or disable the gamepad. I must say that when you're looking at some of the feature, I've been messing with it, just checking out like what can we do actually with it, and how does it actually work when it comes to the games itself. For Turtles, one of the things I didn't record it when I was getting into the game itself. I was getting out of the game, and with just in standby mode, absolutely the game didn't work anymore, and it didn't recognize the controller. So the software is kind of buggy, but in the future I will have my fully trust in the product that it will get fixed. Over here we have the settings, so we can basically mess around with it, add new things to it. We're having like the FPS limiter. You can add all kinds of new features, which you can see over here. I think it's pretty damn cool to customize everything. Then of course we're having the content. Here we have different platforms. And there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. And from this point on you can also like update everything. So you also can use big picture mode from Steam. But if you're going to basically like load up a game, you're saying done. Okay, yes. It will automatically boot up Steam and it will start the game. It will take some time, to be honest. I'm not going to use Asus software anymore, not that much, simply because I just want to use the big picture mode, or more like similar to the Steam Deck itself. I think it's a very cool piece of software this way. Yep. Here we can see open Steam. Now it's trying to boot up the game. And what else can do is getting into the big picture mode, automatically set it to booting it up. It's a different way to use, but I think it's a very convenient way. Oh man, that audio is absolutely amazing. I really love the new layout and needed to get used to it in the beginning. But if you're going to hang of it, let's lower it a little bit over here. You can see it glitching out. See, now it's going a little bit apeshit over there. But it finally booted up the game. So if you have problems when it comes to the input of the controller itself, you need to go into the software and mess around with it. So for example, if you're going to get into the gamepad mode, it works fine, but I did notice sometimes that I had some problems with some games where we can just switch between desktop. Here you can see it doesn't do anything anymore. You can set it to auto if you want to. It's all up to you. Okay, what is very important when it comes to the settings, not only can adjust the brightness and all the other stuff I've shown you before, we have like an FPS limit. Here you can set it to a certain FPS if you want to. The display does have a 120 Hz refresh rate. It's absolutely nuts if you think about it, but you need to turn off the FPS limiter, of course. Nevertheless, we're going to set it to 1080p and we're going to play. So in the command center, what is very interesting, that we can also switch between the wattage is going to be pulling from the battery. You have 10 watt, 15 watt, 25. We're going to put it to silent, 10 watt. I think it's more enough to getting enough juice from the machine itself. But also they're going to be setting the 50 FPS limiter. So there's a little bit of a bummer. We don't want to, but if you just want to have the full power, we can just do it like that. It's quite difficult to read, but it says 120 Hz left top corner when it comes to the FPS of the device itself. And I think it's a very cool feature, but if you don't really care about stuff like that and you think it's 60 is more than enough, you can just do it like that. One thing is that I really needed to get used to the D-pad when it comes to this game itself. But if you're going to play some old school Street Fighter 4, that does run perfectly. Full HD resolution with everything setting to ultra. And that's what I really like about these devices. So where we maybe have some troubles when it comes to AAA games that have been released just now as this product has been released, but there are so many cool games you can actually play without any problem. But let's move on to Street Fighter 6. And with Street Fighter 6 I was quite surprised of the overall performance on this piece of equipment. Yeah, I've seen a lot of different, let's say, overall results with different handhelds. The Asus ROG really disappoint, because when you're looking at the specifications over here, we had so many cool things you can tweak. For example, when you're looking at the graphic settings, with this device I have set it to the 1080p resolution. With previous ones I had a lot of problems where I need to put it back to 720. And even with the settings I can even tweak, setting it maybe to medium. I was absolutely surprised to check out how good the overall performance is. With different handhelds I've noticed a lot of, let's say, slowdowns. But the Asus ROG with the brand new updates are absolutely crazy how good this device performs. Another thing is the D-pad is absolutely something pretty damn cool in this device. It works as a charm. So with Tekken I just wanted to check out how far we can push this video game. I've tried it on different devices. Most of the time we're going to put them on 1080p and just high resolutions. Now I want to put it on 1080p and put everything to ultra, just to push it a little bit further than with the other devices we've checked out. Running on a 45 up to 50 FPS per second. So there is a room a little bit of tweaking if you want to see it in a couple of these, let's say, to just high or medium. But the overall performance of the Asus ROG with my favorite game Tekken 7 is absolutely crazy, to be honest. Next up, let's try a little bit of Dirt. But with Dirt, what's interesting that we do have the same results when it comes to the previous handheld I've reviewed. Another thing is that we do have like a great performance in overall. I can still really enjoy this game. It will only run between 40 and 50 frames per second. We have set it to the 1080 resolution, so we can lower the resolution to get a better performance. I just wanted to see how far we can push it. And it looks still amazing on this device. But take consideration when you're going to put it on ultra settings and everything, especially when looking at the battery consumption, we're not going to have a very long gameplay when it comes to the games like these. With the ROG Ally we can play so many games. We have enough power to run even AAA titles. We need to do a lot of concession, that's one thing to be sure. We have this with every single Windows x80, x6 device. Nevertheless, we can play Street Fighter 6, so that's very promising. And maybe with some tweaking we can even getting better performance with some different games. But I will mainly use it for indie games. I already installed over 60 of them because we don't have a lot of storage. So we need to upgrade it if you want to install a lot of AAA games. But if you're going to be into the retro mode like me, what you need to do is open up the software operating mode. You can just set it to silent. We don't need a lot of juice.
Make your selection. Your mission begins now. Room clear. Watch out.
Man, that's so much fun. But next up, let's try a little bit of PlayStation 2 emulation. All the way up to PlayStation 1, it will run without any hassle. I think this device is absolutely amazing if you're going to look into, let's say, the more demanding emulation that we can run on cheap devices. And of course, the ROG Ally has no problem whatsoever. This is absolutely great PlayStation 2 portable emulation machine. Next up, PlayStation Portable, but we're going to have ultimate power here with too much like frames per second. So we're going to set the frame limit to 60. There we go. Let's see if it's going to be handling that right. No, it's not going to be working at all. So let's set into the settings and go back to the game itself. Oh, now it starters. There we go, come on. Yes, I know you need to return fire. You're too lazy. Go to sleep. Let me do it. Let me be the Kratos, the king, the man of the ultimate whipping. But when it comes to God of War and a lot of place portable games, you can run them on higher resolution without any problems. I must say that it plays very comfortable with the big buttons over here. I am the god of spanking, whipping everybody in my way. And next up, let's try PlayStation 3. And let's see if we're going to get ourselves a great and fast loading time and some good performance. So one of the really cool features what we're going to get with this device, that we're actually going to get PlayStation 3 emulation. So where we're not having this option when it comes to cheaper devices, barely having PlayStation 2 emulation, now we do have the option to even play PlayStation 3 on the go. The consumption, it will need a lot of juice from the CPU and GPU, so it also consumes a lot of freaking battery life. Depending on what you're going to actually play is also going to give you a different result when it comes to the battery life. If you're going to play indie games like me, you do have like a very big battery life in general. But when you're looking at AAA or maybe high-end emulation, there we're going to get a significant drop in battery life, and you don't have like major, let's say, hours of gaming fun. But yeah, that is something we just need to live with for now. But okay, so when it comes to the ROG Ally, I am very satisfied, especially when you're looking at the money you're paying for it. It's still a lot of money, but when you're looking at what you can do with it, it's absolutely great. Is it going to be a Steam Deck killer or let's say a destroyer of all Chinese Windows handhelds? That's something we're going to see in the future. For now, when you're looking at the positive and the negatives, thank you all for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that little bell, and it will be great to see you in the next video.